Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my Attack on Titan Season 4, Episode 8 video, Assassin's Bullet. There's so much stuff happening, we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to my channel, I'm doing videos for all the Attack on Titan Season 4 episodes. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. Careful for spoilers if you have not seen the episode yet, because we'll be talking about everything, and I'll just number these as we go along through WTF moments and Easter eggs. Just starting with the title of the episode, Assassin's Bullet. Obviously a reference to Gabby Braun sniping Sasha with her gun as the Survey Corps and the rest of the Eldian attack team were taking off in the airship. Everyone press F in the chat to pay respects to the best potato girl who ever lived. Don't worry, we'll talk about Sasha, because her death will have waves that will affect all the other characters for the next big arc of the series, so we're sort of transitioning from the Marley arc of the manga to the War for Paradise arc. That is the final arc of the story. I know everyone's freaking out because there are only 16 episodes listed on the wiki for Attack on Titan right now, but there's no way that they could speedrun the rest of the story in the amount of episodes that are listed on the wiki right now, so there'll probably be a Season 4 Part 2, like a second cour of episodes. But the episode starts right where Episode 7 left off, with Reiner having completely regenerated himself, well, maybe not completely, but regenerated himself into another Armor Titan to join the fight. Not because he was trying to save the rest of the Marleyans, as Gabby and Falco thought, screaming their lungs out at him, but because he was still kind of hoping for the chance, just a small chance, that if he were to fight Eren Yeager again, Eren might kill him and end his suffering, and that would free him of his guilty conscience over everything that he'd done while he was on Paradise. All the people that they killed, all their friends that were hurt when they took down the first wall, then everything that came after. And this has a lot to do with what was going on with Reiner's Titan, because I've seen a lot of people asking why his armor Titan in this scene looks so different from its normal look. The armor plating doesn't cover his entire body, his face looks more like a normal face without the standard plating covering it. So it's like he's entering battle with half of his armor on. When you think about the line of dialogue that he went out on during Episode 7, that should give you a clue as to why he looks like this. He purposefully stopped his Titan transformation before it completely covered him in armor plating because he wanted to leave himself exposed. He wanted to give Eren more of a chance at killing him in battle. In fact, he's not even trying here. Eren pretty much one-shots him, even though he's able to grab Porco's Jaw Titan from him. But I love that Eren is still post-Nutcracker incident with Porco's Jaw Titan, and it hasn't had time to regenerate its limbs, so he's swinging it around like some kind of Titan club, like he's carrying it into battle while he's fighting. There's some more creative use of Titans for you. And even though he's just drank that Warhammer Titan milkshake, he's gained the full power of that Titan, so he does learn new Titan powers pretty quickly, but it's still going to take him a hot minute to learn how to fully integrate the Warhammer Titan abilities into his other abilities as the Attack Titan and the Founding Titan. More to that too, Reiner showing up stopped him short before he could take the power of the Jaw Titan. So right now, as it stands after the battle, Porco is still the Jaw Titan. But after he grabs the Jaw Titan and Eren one-shots him, Eren stops short in his tracks, claiming that he doesn't have the energy to finish Reiner off. They kind of referenced this earlier, so it's possible that he's being truthful, but there's no malice on his face when he's talking about it to Mikasa, so it's possible here that he also chose not to push himself to finish off Reiner because he didn't want to kill him. Like he told him in Episode 5, he doesn't want to destroy him anymore, so here he's just using the energy limit as an excuse to do that, to walk away. Then as the Survey Corps, the Eldians take off in the airship, Gabby just hits fever pitch and rushes after them with her rifle, trying to take all of them down by herself. Falco chases her down, and obviously this is the biggest part of the episode, this big emotional arc that they're on. Like, they hype up the Eren versus Reiner fight so much in last week's episode. Gabby and Falco are like, oh, you're gonna get it now. The Armor Titan, Reiner's gonna kick your butt so bad. But the battle is over so quickly that they're like, wait, what? What just happened? Like, Eren versus Reiner is the smallest part of the episode. They blow past it so quickly. Love the look on Armin's face as he greets Eren and Mikasa returning to the ship. They share that exchange, the two of them, and there's so much weight in the looks that they give each other. Armin still horrified by everything he just did in the bay, destroying everything like he went off like a nuclear bomb when he transformed into the Colossal Titan. And he's so conflicted by everything that Eren had done to force their hand. All this death and the collateral damage, but he still really cares about Eren, just like Mikasa does. But then, of course, Levi shows up and starts throwing insults at Eren, and you kind of snap back to reality, like, oh yeah, everyone is super pissed at Eren. Not just the Marleyans, but all the Eldians as well. The show has kind of set him up as the new big bad of the series the past few episodes, the big villain that everyone hates, and everyone that's calling him a villain technically is not wrong. Everything that Willy Tybur said in his final speech about Eren unleashing the rumbling, activating the thousands of colossal titans that make up the walls of Paradise, and destroying the world, all that's not wrong. Eren, at least as far as we know right now, still plans to do that, so it's kind of like everyone around the world versus Eren at this point, the enemy of humanity. But in this moment, as they all sort of reunite, he still has a few friends, and he's such a high-value weapon to Paradis that they're kind of forced to work with him. If he were not the Founding Titan, though, or even the Attack Titan, they probably would have just executed him on spot for what he did. And that's also why Armin stops Mikasa from intervening when Levi starts smacking Eren around and they formally arrest him. He's like, no, this needs to happen. Eren needs to answer for his crimes, even though nobody here is enjoying this. Although it seems kind of like Levi is enjoying smacking him around a little bit. The only person that Levi enjoys smacking around more than Eren is Zeke, so we'll talk about that in a second too. When Levi says Eren has some explaining to do, I don't really expect Eren to be very forthcoming beyond what he already wrote in his letters. That's pretty much what he tells him. Like, it's all in there in the letters that I sent you. I've already explained myself very clearly, even though we as the audience didn't get to read any of those letters. The reaction on his face is amazing too. Like, Eren doesn't even register any kind of reaction or visible emotion because he's so committed to his course of action in the rumbling. Then as the rest of their forces start to board the airship, they start celebrating. Sasha talks about the 6 soldiers they lost. They start going on about how they're going to rebuild the Eldian Empire after the Great Titan War, take back everything that was taken from them, which also kind of foreshadows the big twist. Anytime they're celebrating before they've actually left the battlefield, you know something big is happening. There's going to be some twist that'll take it back. But then she cuts the tension, talking about more food. This is obviously just setting up the big twist in her final words, talking about food, talking about meat. Then we go back to Gabi and Falco, and obviously she's not having any of what Falco is trying to sell her on. She remembers Sophia getting crushed during Eren's attack, then Udo getting trampled to death by the panicking crowd while he was trying to save her, the Marleyan guards that then also tried to save her and were killed by a woman on the rooftop. That woman was Sasha, obviously also setting up the big twist with her killing Sasha in a little bit. They also still think that Zeke is dead at this point in the story, so they're completely demoralized. So all this anger that she's feeling over the deaths of her friends and her sympathy with the Marleyans now, renewed sympathy because the soldiers tried to save her, is coalescing into this perfect storm, turning her into a Marley stan, even though her whole life she's been fed all this rhetoric and lies about the Eldians by the Marleyans. She's on the fast train to Crazy Town. She wants to wipe all the Eldians off the map. But she kind of explains where she's coming from, and she was not there for any of the Eren Reiner conversation that Falco saw. So Falco is kind of doing the slow work in the next arc of the series, trying to get her to come around on the whole notion of war and killing her own people, because she's an Eldian just like them. As Falco was explaining this to Gabi, you kind of have to laugh at her reaction to this. She kind of calls fake news on him. Like, were you there for that? Did you see that happen? No, I didn't see it happen. So her brain has gone so crazy town that she's kind of pretending like it's not a thing. Like, I don't think that that's a thing. I don't think that they killed all those people. When clearly that all happened, like we all saw it play out over the first couple seasons of the show. She's able to hit one of their soldiers, but because he's still attached to the 3D maneuvering cable anchored to the airship, she uses it to go full Leroy Jenkins on the entire airship, Falco unsuccessfully trying to stop her, winding up going along for the ride, just remembering Reiner's last conversation with him, "You need to save Gabi." But Gabi and Falco are able to get on the ship, getting a shot off on Sasha before everyone realizes what's happening, and she doesn't die immediately, but she does go out on such a great line, asking where her dinner is, and her actual last word being meat. Obviously, a big callback to her on the wall as Eren remembers her at the end of the episode, laughing and crying at the same time. The whole weight of Sasha's death is going to hang over the next arc of the series in a really important way, so her death will inform some really important actions from her friends and these other characters that are all tied up in this, Gabi and Falco's arc in particular. It's just that it's going to take Gabi a long time to get to that place mentally. But it kind of starts when you see the other Eldian soldiers show them mercy. Like, do we want to throw them right out the hatch and just dash their bodies on the rocks? No, when does the killing stop? They hate all this as much as Falco remembers Reiner hating it, so Falco's sort of realizing this, connecting all the dots in his head, like, wait a minute, they're just like us. But back on Marley, we see Pieck healing up, none the worse for wear, and Magath trying to pick up the pieces, tracking down all the other Titan warriors like Reiner. Pieck starts recalling the strange Marleyan soldier that tricked them into the pit earlier. That's Yelena. She's one of Zeke's confederates inside the Marleyan army. You learn a little bit about her during this episode, but they'll continue to reveal more about her in the next couple of episodes. It's not so much that she loves Paradis and she wants to see them burn Marley to the ground or anything like that. She's just a Zeke stan through and through. As we'll continue to see, her character is a good example, a good template for the idea of zealotry. Like, who are the good guys in all this when the supposed forces of the protagonists, Eren and the other Eldians, are doing things that are just as horrific and underhanded as what the Marleyans have been doing this whole time? It's another example of what they've been trying to convey through this entire Marley arc of the series, that everyone is the same. There are no winners in this war, only losers, and both sides are to blame. Both sides are just as bad as the other, except for Eren Yeager. He's kind of like the S-tier bad guy of the moment right now. Then I love this Gabby and Falco reversal as they reveal what was going on with Zeke the whole time. She's screaming about making them pay for killing Zeke, and they're like, hold that thought, you can tell him all about it yourself when we show you, and they open the door and they see him sitting there regenerating his limbs. Hanji steps out talking to Zeke about the whole plan, how it all went down, revealing to Gabby and Falco that Zeke was in on this the whole time. He was behind this big attack. The miscalculations that Zeke is talking about obviously are Gabby and Falco winding up on board. That was not planned, as well as Peak and Porco escaping the trap and were able to intervene during the battle, resulting in more Paradis casualties. And Levi's conversation with Zeke should make it pretty clear where they stand with each other. Levi still very much wants to kill him, but is forced to work with him for the greater cause of defeating the Marleyans in the moment. And Zeke doesn't really care about Levi at all. He's just using him to achieve his plan of wielding the power of the Founding Titan through Eren. He really only cares about Eren and the Founding Titan because they're so critical to his plan. The Paradis Eldians are really just a means to an end for him. He doesn't really care about them either. Like, he talks about freeing Eldians all over the world, and he does kind of want to do that, but he has zero remorse over the idea that so many people are going to have to die before this plan comes to fruition. Then Eren reminds us the whole reason for the surprise attack, destroying the fleet, their command structure, just to delay the inevitable all-out war for Paradis. That's the title of the final arc of the manga story, The War for Paradis. That's where we're heading into right now. So it's coming, obviously, it's just that it's going to take Magath time to rebuild their ships so that they can actually bring the Marleyans to Paradis to have the war itself. I love the little joke that Hanji gets out about referencing saving Eren all the time. There's always somebody that has to come save you, which isn't wrong. Usually it's Mikasa that always winds up having to save him. It's just that this time in particular, it was extra crazy because of the circumstances. Eren forcing their hand into battle, purposefully making himself a hostage. Then just as Zeke is trying to remind them that this is not all in vain, they reveal Sasha has died. Everyone has their own level of reaction based on how close they were to Sasha, but they're all pissed. And even Eren, like I said, is saddened by it. He starts crying and getting really broken up about it, remembering that her final word was meat, thinking back about the time she stole the meat from the officers' mess, trying to share it with all of them. So even though he seemed like a monster during this past arc, it shows that he's not a total psychopath, just a little bit of a psychopath. But the voice you hear speaking over the trailer for episode 9 is Yelena's voice, talking about how they may have been able to find some other way of achieving their goals without all the bloodshed, but what's done is done, there's nothing we can do about it. We see the flashback of Sasha eating seafood for the first time, cooked by one of the Marleyan soldiers, freaking out because she loves it so much, then them burying her body in Hanji, making more plans. So my episode 9 video will post next Sunday just like normal, but if you spotted any more big references or Easter eggs during episode 8 that I didn't mention in the video, just write them below in the comments. Everyone click here for all my Attack on Titan Season 4 episodes, and click here for that brand new WandaVision Episode 5 trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and think about Sasha when you eat dinner tonight.